Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Real Sports Updates here. Back again with another video. Today, I want to get into some of the free agency topics, and I'm going to start with my team, the Los Angeles Chargers. So the Chargers had ultimately was a disappointing season. Improvement from previous season of 2020. Chargers ended up finishing 9-8. And there were some high points during the season, but like I said, ultimately it was a failure. They ended up losing that big Sunday night game. Winner gets into the playoffs. They end up losing to the Raiders. And I think specifically some of the positions that they need to fill. I think a lot of what went wrong in that last game, it reared its ugly head. Because there are a lot of there's a lot of discussion around who the best free agents are out there and such and such. And a team like the Chargers, who's ready to win right now, it's not about who's the best. It's about who is the best at the positions that you need to fill. And clearly, right tackle was clearly a problem in that last game. Storm Norton, he had played, pretty well throughout the season, but he is not, he's not great by any stretch. So that reared his ugly head. Defensive tackle, the meat up front, that reared his ugly head. The guys who were there didn't get it done. Jerry Tillery, Linval Joseph, those guys didn't get it done. And I think some of that might be the layover in players from the Gus Bradley era. Having Staley come in and take over the defense and run a new scheme with still some of the older players there. I think that has something to do with it. But at the end of the day, if you're a football player, you should be able to ball no matter what position you're at. At that point, it's just about beating the guy in front of you. And if you're not able to do it, then you're not able to do it. So I think those issues that the Chargers have up front, I think those need to be addressed immediately, because those are the most important positions as far as the Chargers' success next season. I think you're going to have to protect Justin Herbert. Obviously, it's a franchise quarterback. They went well, drafted the left tackle, Rashawn Slater, last season in the draft. So I think the Chargers got to do that again. They have to address the right side of the line. The Chargers are going to have a lot of cap space coming up pretty soon. I think they already have like $58 million in cap, and that's even before cuts. So you look at a Brian Bulaga. He signed with the Chargers 2 years ago. He's played, I think, 2 or 3 games or something like that. He's been injured for most of his time. He's probably going to be a cut candidate, like the most for sure cut candidate that the Chargers have. You look at a guy like, a Chris Harris. He's an older guy. In that nickel position, he didn't play particularly well this year. I think his age has most is most responsible for his lackluster play. He's an older guy, and at the end of the day, you get older, and unless he wants to move to safety, I think he's probably going to be. He probably won't be somebody that the Chargers bring back next season. Just going off the top of my head too, you look at it, Jerry Tillery. Just like I said, he was a first-round pick. He's a cut candidate as well. When you're a first-rounder, you have all of the guaranteed money. Most of your guaranteed money is paid out to you within your first year or two. And I think Tiller's going into his 4th year now, so I think he's a cut candidate. He hasn't been a guy who's lived up to his expectations as a first-round pick. And I think if the Chargers cut him by, I think the first week of March or something like that, they'll be able to save a considerable amount towards the cap. You look at somebody else. I don't know, somebody in the secondary, possibly possibly Michael Davis. I've been hearing rumors about that. He was the Chargers' best corner this season, but he was a guy who was kind of up and down as well too. Um, he seemed to play well against lesser talent, but he did get beat a few times by some of the best receivers in the league, and it's not the worst thing in the world. Jalen Ramsey is considered the best quarter in the league, and he got roasted in the Super Bowl. But I think the consistency factor is the thing that's there for him. So ultimately, I think the Chargers have a lot of holes to fix. The good news is that there is a lot of cap space, and the Chargers have a lot of draft picks as well too. So I know that they can be really flexible with what they do. As far as who they acquire in the offseason, and in the draft as well too. I think they have 8 or 9 picks, something like that. And theoretically, you don't need 8 or 9 guys to be drafted. So I'm going to be looking for the Chargers to be very, very active in the trade market. Maybe try to possibly trade up if they really fall in love with somebody. And I would imagine if that's either a right tackle or a defensive tackle. But I think probably one of the best moves would be is moving back. The Chargers can address their issues easily within the draft. I think there's going to be some value picks at the the third, fourth round and stuff like that. The Chargers can address their issues on the offensive line in the draft, and I think at that point, you want to draft some depth. For the left side of the offensive line. As far as the right side goes, I think you have to see what's out there in free agency first. You want a established player, a guy who doesn't have a bad injury history like Brian Bulaga, but you also want a guy who is established, and somebody who can, adjust to this Chargers offense and kind of pick it up pretty quickly. It's going to be hard for a rookie to do that. You don't expect guys to have a lot of success like Rashawn Slater did this past season. That's unexpected. You can't really expect that coming out of the draft. So I think you want to go with somebody more established, especially since this draft, the tackles are so light. I think there's like 2 or 3 tackles, maybe. I've been seeing on the draft boards two for sure tackles in the first round, and then kind of varies from that point on. But I think they should look at free agency first before they go and move up for an offensive lineman, specifically a tackle. Defensive line though, there is a guy, Jordan Davis from Georgia, big number 99. He was very, very crucial in their championship run, the University of Georgia, the championship run this season. And he's a guy, he's known for his run stopping ability, which is something that the Chargers desperately need. So if the Chargers are not going to move up or down or whatever, and he's there right in that 17 position, I think the Chargers need to go ahead and pull the trigger on that because he is exactly what the doctor ordered. He is a big guy. I think he's like, 6'4", 6'5", like 350 or something like that. So he's a big dude. You can just put him right there in the A gap, and he can eat up a lot of space. And that's what the Chargers don't have. I think Linval Joseph, he's had his moments, but he's an older player at this point now. So, he doesn't have that much football left ahead of him. And the football that he does have left ahead of him, is it going to be good at this point right now? We don't know. We can't tell. So, I think the Chargers need to get younger in the draft, especially up there, up front, and get a dog, and that's literally and figuratively. Like Jordan Davis is a dog. He's nasty up front, and he brings that attitude. He brings that tough guy attitude that I think the Chargers need. You need some of that toughness in the trenches. Cut down on some of the bigger runs that the Chargers give up, especially towards the end of games. That always seems to be a problem. Always seems to be an issue with the Chargers, giving up big runs that are crucial and that are just gut wrenching, first downs and whatnot. And, so they really need to address that. That's the biggest thing on defense they need to address. Um, and also some of the guys who, I think the Chargers should resign. Obviously I think Mike Davis is going to be resigned. You know, if hopefully they're able to come to a long-term deal. I think the Chargers are going to use the franchise tag on him, though. I don't see them franchising anybody else. He's the guy. He really had a breakout season this season. He was fantastic. He had over 1,000 yards, a bunch of touchdowns, and a bunch of tough catches as well too. So he's a guy that the Chargers don't want to let go. But I think the Chargers need to build this roster out properly. There's going to be some guys out there. There's going to be some big names. And, the Chargers, they typically have not went big name hunting. And I think it should continue this season. I think the resources need to be used to build this roster out completely. And not overspend for Devontae Adams. Not overspend for, I don't know, Odell Beckham or whatever other big name player that's out there. I don't think the Chargers need to do that. I think they need to build depth. There is a lot of talent on this roster, but I think they need to build depth behind it. Injuries come up all the time, so you have to build depth behind it. And if maybe there's one guy who can, I don't want to say overspend, but you can spend good money for. I personally think is Tyrann Mathieu. If Tyrann Mathieu is willing to leave the Chiefs, or if the Chiefs are not willing to pay him, the money that he wants, I think LA is an attractive place for him. And I think he would fit in well with the Brandon Staley defense. Having him and Derwin James on the back end, that would solidify 100% solidify the Chargers defense, especially if they're able to get, stout up front. I think that is a real possibility. And he is the type of player that you would want to spend that money on. So, I really think that he's a guy that the Chargers should consider. But because he fills a hole and he's a playmaker. So, but as far as everybody else, all the other big names, it's not really needed. And I don't think the Chargers need to spend on that. They need to get this team together. Depth-wise, they need to build out up front on both ends of the ball. Continue to protect Justin Herbert. And also, be able to be a little more physical. Run the ball a little more this season. Maybe, spend on a running back. Maybe try to bring Melvin Gordon back. You're going to need another running back to go in the backfield with Austin Eckler. Just try to build that physical mentality. So ultimately you can be balanced. But the sky is the limit, really, this offseason. Unless the Chargers do anything and they make a lot of, really stupid mistakes, which, hopefully it doesn't happen. But I think, I think this season is going to be, this upcoming season is going to be a lot better than this past season was. The cap flexibility is there. The draft capital is there. Everything is there. So there's no excuses for the Chargers to not come into this season loaded. But with a complete team, offense, defense, all three phases, everybody needs to, be on their best this season. And, the Chargers, and that's from players to front office and everything. And they have it. They have it all right now. They have it all, and they have a budding superstar quarterback. So now is the time to make a move, and this is going to be Herbert's third year. So after the season's coming up, you're going to be talking extension with Justin Herbert, which is going to be a big chunk of change. So, you're going to have to, start to put things together right now before, you shell out all that money to Justin Herbert, which he deserves, but it's up to the front office. It's up to the GM. It's up to, the personnel people to put the best team together, the best team that you possibly can before you have to pay him his big money. But you know, we'll see what happens. I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic, but I think Tom Telesco. I think his job depends on what he does this season and the team that he puts together. If this team is not, if this team is not considerably better than last season's team, a 9-8 team, then I think he'll probably be looking for a new job pretty soon. And he rightfully should. Everything is at his feet now. And it doesn't hurt to live in LA, in the sunshine and stuff, so that's not going to be hard to recruit players out there. So it's all at his feet now. He just has to execute and be able to make the moves that he needs to make in order to ensure the Chargers' success. But we'll see what happens going forward. This is going to be one of the most interesting NFL off seasons in recent memory. A lot of quality free agents out there. There are some big names. That's too many, but there's quality guys out there. And I think the movement is going to be very entertaining. And the talk going into next season is going to be at a fever. It's going to be at a fever pitch. A lot of guys are going to move. A lot of teams are going to load up, and that Super Bowl trophy is going to be in the air again next year. So a lot of teams are going to try to put that team together to get there. Try to emulate what the Bengals did. From lovable losers to now they're in the front. The contenders now. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. But as a Charger fan, I hope we get it together this offseason. And we'll get some answers shortly here in a few weeks when that new league window opens and you're able to start negotiating with free agents and whatnot. So can't wait to see what happens. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Got more content coming out, and thank you guys.